Hi friends, good evening. All of you can see my screen and can hear my voice. Please confirm in the chat. Please confirm in the chat. Is my voice clear? Very good. Thanks for joining, guys. Welcome to Ashok IT. So today is the second session for Java Real-Time Project online training program. So it is a full stack development. So we are going to learn how to develop a project with real-time standards. So by using real-time tools like Maven, Gradle, Jenkins, Git, SonarQube, right? Docker, Kubernetes, Apache Kafka, Redis, SonarQube, JMeter, Swagger, Postman. Like that, we are going to learn 20 plus real-time tools as part of this training. We are going to develop the projects by using Spring Boot with microservices architecture for backend, and front end we are going to develop by using Angular, and the deployments we are going to do using AWS cloud infrastructure. So we are going to learn backend development, front end development, and deployments also. So we can call it as full stack development program. Got it. In the yesterday session, I have given the details about the course, what are the prerequisites to attend this course, and what is our course content. Right. So the prerequisites I told yesterday: core Java, advanced Java, database concepts, and Spring Boot. If you don't know Spring Boot, you can join for the Spring Boot course. Parallelly, you can do Spring Boot and Java real-time project. Course content: IT industry details, 20 plus real-time tools, microservices development, mini projects, backend development we are going to do using REST APIs, major project we are going to develop, TypeScript with Angular. For front end, we are going to learn the Angular framework. Cloud deployments we are going to do. So as a developer, you should know some commands in the Linux also. I will cover those Linux commands and few services in the AWS cloud. And we are going to do interview preparation. As discussed, after this course is completed, you can put 3 to 4 years of experience as a Java full stack developer. Good. So let's get started with today's topic, guys. Anybody who missed yesterday's session can go through the video which we have shared in our YouTube channel. Ashok IT is our channel name. Good. So today is our 21 JRTP second session. 21 JRTP session 2. Right. So today what we are going to learn. In today's session, I'm going to give you the information related to what is full stack development, what is full stack development, right? And why it is important now, why it is important, why it is important. Next one, what are the roles and responsibilities, what full stack developers will do in the company, what are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developer, what full stack developer will do in company, right? Then I'm going to talk about what is monolith architecture, what is microservices architecture, what is monolith architecture, and what is microservices architecture. So now these are very common concepts that every developer should know. Our course is Java real-time project with the full stack development. So what is that full stack development? Why it is important in IT industry nowadays? What full stack developer will do in the company? What are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developer? What is monolith architecture and what is microservices architecture? So why people are preferring microservices architecture nowadays to develop the applications? Good. Now the first point, what is full stack development? So currently this full stack development is hot cake in the IT industry. What is full stack development? Full stack development, the term that is hot cake in the IT industry, it is hot cake in IT. It is hot cake in IT industry nowadays. nowadays. Companies are looking for full stack developers. There are so many openings available in the IT companies. So many openings are available in IT companies for full stack developers. Every company, every company looking for full stack developers. There are so many openings available for full stack developers in the IT company. It is hot cake in the industry nowadays. Every company looking for full stack developers. So what is this full stack development? Full stack development is the combination of backend development and front-end development. Backend plus front-end. Backend development, backend development plus front-end development is called as full stack developer. So companies are looking for the persons who can do both back-end development as well as front-end development. That means you should be able to develop entire application. You should be able to develop entire application. That is what industry is expecting. So earlier, companies used to recruit front-end developers separately, back-end developers separately. But nowadays, companies are looking for the people who can do complete website development, who can develop the entire application end to end. Full stack developers should be able to do the complete application, back-end development as well as front-end development. So what is front-end development? Front-end development nothing but user interface. So we are going to develop user interface of our application. Whatever we can see on the website. If you go to any website, you can see some menus, you can see some logos, you can see some buttons, you can see some images. That is called user interface. Whatever you see on the website, that is called as user interface. So in order to develop this user interface, there are some technologies are available. Front-end technologies are available. Using those front-end technologies, we can develop user interface. The end user can see only user interface in our application. Now coming to backend development. Coming to backend development. So business logic we are going to develop in the backend. End users can see only this user interface. When end user perform some operation in our application, like he is trying to register, he is trying to log in, he is trying to recover the password. Whatever the operation that end user perform on the website, then backend logic is going to execute. This is called business logic. User interface, end users can see this. End users can say this. End users cannot say this. End users cannot say this backend. So end users can access only user interface of our application. So when they perform some operation on the user interface, then the request will go to backend of our application. In the backend, business logic will be executed. For the request which is given by the user, business logic will execute and it is going to send the response back to the user interface. So we are the customers. We are using so many web applications in our daily life. We can see the user interface. So when you perform some operation on that user interface, then it will go to the backend. Backend business logic will execute. It will send the response to the end user. So that is called as full stack development. Full stack development refers to the development of both the front end and back end portion of the web application. So web application contains front end part and back end part. Front end part is called as a client side. Back end part is called as a server side. Right. So that is called as full stack development. Full stack developers will have the ability to design complete web application. So when you will be called as a full stack developer, if you have the skill set, if you have the ability to develop client side of the application, server side of the application, then you will be called as full stack developers. Nowadays, companies are looking for full stack developers. That means you should know front end development as well as back end development. Front end contains everything that a client can see and client can interact with our application, like buttons, menus, drop downs, checkboxes, radio buttons, images, menu items, logo, like that. So whatever end user can do will be available on that front end part, that is called user interface. The backend contains our business logics, our servers will be available, our databases will be available in the backend part. End user cannot interact with our backend. End user will interact with only front end. So that is called full stack development. So if you see, the application is divided into two parts: client side, server side. Client side is called as front end, server side is called as backend. Now, in order to develop the client side, I mean to say to develop front end part of our application, there are some technologies are available. Front end tech stack, front end tech stack. What technologies we are going to use in the front end? We will use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, JS libraries like React JS, JS frameworks like Angular. Some companies will be using Angular, some projects are using Angular, some projects are using React JS, etc. These are called as front-end technologies which are used to develop user interface of our applications. Right. Coming to back-end tech stack. So what are the technologies we can use in the backend to develop our applications? We can use Java, we can use C Sharp, we can use Python, we can use PHP, we can use Node.js, etc. Like that, there are several technologies are available. By using those technologies, we can develop backend part of our application. So front-end technologies are available and backend technologies are also available. So using these technologies, we can develop front-end part of the application. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap. Angular is a framework to develop front end. React.js is a JavaScript library to develop our application. So you no need to use both in the single project, Angular and React. So projects will be developed. The project front end will be developed by using Angular or by using React, but not both. Angular is a framework. It is a client-side framework. React.js is a client-side library. Both are having the demand in the market. So projects will be using either Angular or React for front-end development. In our course, I'm going to use Angular framework to develop front-end part. So I'm going to teach you this Angular framework and I will tell you how to use it to develop user interface. Coming to the backend tech stack, we are going to use Java to develop our backend APIs. So in the market, there are several technologies are available. Some people will use .NET C Sharp. Some people will be using Python. Some people will use PHP. Some people will use Node.js to develop the backend. So here we are going to use Angular for front end and we are going to use Java for backend. Now coming to Java tech stack. So what we are going to use in the Java to develop our project? As I told you, Java 8 I'm going to use, Spring Core, Spring Boot, Spring Core, Spring Boot, Spring Core, WebMVC, Spring Core, WebMVC, Spring Boot we are going to use, REST APIs we are going to use, REST APIs we are going to use, microservices we are going to use to develop our project. So by using these technologies, we are going to develop backend of our projects. By using these things, we are going to develop front end of our application. In our JRTP, we are going to learn full stack development. So what is the meaning of full stack development? It is the combination of backend development and front-end development. For front-end development, we are going to use these things. I'm not going to use React.js, guys. I'm going to use up to Angular. For the backend, I'm using Java. So what we are going to use from Java? We are going to use Java 8. Java 8 version we are going to use. Spring Core module, IOC container dependency injection concepts we are going to use. WebMVC module we are going to use to develop our REST APIs. Spring Boot we are using because it is one approach to develop Spring applications with less configuration. Using Spring Boot, we are going to develop our backend. The backend we are going to develop microservices. So microservices nothing but it is one architecture. We are going to develop individual services as REST APIs. So by using this microservices architecture. And coming to database, I am going to cover multiple databases, guys. Oracle I am going to explain, MySQL I will explain, H2 also I will explain, MongoDB also I will cover. So I'm going to cover multiple databases. It's not about only one database. So JRTP tech stack. So in the JRTP, you are going to learn full stack development, right? So here I'm going to use front end with Angular. Front end I'm going to do with Angular. Back end I'm going to do with Java. Front end tech stack. Front end tech stack. So I will be using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Angular framework. Backend tech stack, I will be using Java 8, Spring Core, WebMVC, Boot, REST API, Microservices. Database, I'm going to use Oracle for few APIs, for MySQL for few APIs, in-memory database H2, and MongoDB also. I'm going to cover. I will give the overview of what is MongoDB, what is NoSQL database, and why to go for NoSQL, how to integrate Spring Boot with MongoDB. I will cover this also. Coming to cloud. So here we are going to learn AWS cloud. What is cloud computing? How to deploy our applications on the cloud computing? Why cloud computing having this much demand in the market? I'm going to cover this part as well. And real-time tools. As I told you, 20 plus real-time tools we are going to learn as part of our course. 20 plus real-time tools like Maven, GitHub, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, Postman, Swagger, JMeter, SonarCube, Nexus, like that. There are Apache Kafka, Redis Cache, like that. There are several tools are available. We are going to learn 20 plus real-time tools as part of this course. AWS Cloud we are going to learn. Operating systems. You already know Windows, so I'm going to cover Linux commands also. As a developer, you should know how to work with Linux OS as well. Operating system, Windows, I no need to explain Windows because you are already using your personal computers with Windows operating system. I'm going to cover Linux OS commands. How to work with Linux, where we will use Linux OS in the projects, how to work with Linux OS, how to do log monitoring on the Linux machines, how to install softwares on the Linux, how to deploy applications on the Linux servers. Those things also we are going to learn. This is our JRTP 21 tech stack. Are you guys clear? So after completion of these things, can you call yourself as a full stack developer? After completion of this JRTP 21, can you call yourself as a full stack developer? Are we learning backend development or front end development? Or we are going to learn both here? Are you learning only backend development, or you are learning both backend and front end? We are learning both backend and front end. That is the reason I am saying that this course is full stack development program. JRTP 21 is a full stack development program. Java real-time project with the full stack along with the cloud also. AWS cloud also I am going to cover for you. Angular I am going to cover for you. Got it? Are you clear with these technologies? Angular I will teach, guys. Angular is part of our syllabus. Angular is not a prerequisite. Angular is a bonus. Outside they will charge 5,000 or 7,000 for Angular, but Angular you are getting for free of cost. Angular is free. Okay. Good. Fine. Now let's move on. So with this we understood what is full stack development. I'm going to teach complete Angular, not basics. Akhil, Angular completely I'm going to teach, not just basics. Okay. 20 plus hours I will spend for only Angular. Don't worry. Right. So what is full stack development? Full stack development is the combination of a backend development and front-end development. Front-end development means user interface. Whatever users can see, that is called as front-end. When you perform some operation on the front-end, then backend logic is going to execute. So here, there are some technologies available to develop front-end part of the application. There are some technologies available to develop backend part of the application. So in our JRTP 21, what we are going to learn? We are going to learn front-end development by using Angular, and we are going to learn backend development by using Java. Not just Java, we are using some frameworks also like Spring Boot, microservices architecture, REST APIs we are going to develop for backend. Now, coming to databases, not just one database, I'm going to cover multiple databases, right? I'm going to cover multiple databases as part of our course. How to interact with Oracle, how to interact with MySQL, how to work with the H2, how to work with the MongoDB. Like this, I'm going to cover multiple databases as part of our syllabus. How to interact with them. Cloud we are going to learn. We need to understand how to deploy our applications on AWS cloud. Not complete AWS, some services in the AWS I'm going to explain. Some services in the AWS I'm going to explain. Real-time tools, these are very important. I'm going to cover 20 plus real-time tools. From installation to troubleshooting level, we are going to understand how to install that tool in our machine, how to work with that tool, what problems you may face in the real time with that tool, how to troubleshoot those problems also we are going to learn. And I'm going to tell AWS cloud, right? And I'm going to tell you Linux commands also. How to work with Linux operating systems I'm going to cover. This is our technology stack of our real-time project, full stack development. Fine. Now coming to what are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developers in the company? Sir, if I become a full stack developer with this course, so tomorrow what I'm going to do in the company, how my day-to-day activities in the IT company as a full stack developers, what full stack developers will do, what full stack developers will do in company, or I can say what are the roles and responsibilities, what are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developer. So once you join in the company, are you going to the company just to observe how many people are coming to office, take the attendance and come back to home? Once you become a full stack developer, daily you will go to office morning at 9 o'clock, see how many people are coming, how many chairs are empty, take the attendance and come to home. Is that your duty? Or else you are going to office just to clean the floors and come back? No. What you will do as a full stack developer, what you need to do, what would be, what are your roles and responsibilities in the company as a full stack developer? Can you guys tell me? Can you type your answer in the chat? Can you guess what would be the role? What are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developer in the company? Come on, guys. I'm looking for your answers. Please type in the chat. I just want to hear from you. What is your opinion on full stack development? What is your opinion on full stack development? What is your opinion on the full stack development? End-to-end application development. Very good. End-to-end application development. Very good. Managing entire application, manage testing, bug fixing, develop front end, develop back end. Good. Yes, you guys already know what are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developers. Very good, guys. Excellent. Excellent. Please respond in the session, guys. Don't just sit idle. If you sit idle, you will feel sleepy. Then you will go to sleep. Don't use your mobiles when you are listening to the class. Don't chat with your friends. Please concentrate on the session. Just 1.5 hours. Throw your mobile. Just join the class from the laptop and listen to the session. It is very informative session. It is very useful course. It is your life-changing course. It is your life-changing course. Don't join for just for time pass. Don't just join for time pass. Okay. Right. So what are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developer? The very first thing is understanding the requirements. You are responsible to develop complete end-to-end application. You need to develop the front end part, and you need to develop the back end part, and you need to deploy the project also. So in order to develop end-to-end application, first you need to understand the client given requirements. Understanding requirements is your first duty. Okay. Second thing is analyzing the requirements. Analyzing requirements analysis. Requirements analysis. So whatever the requirements given by the client, you should not start the coding immediately whenever you get a requirement. So today morning you get a requirement from the client. So whenever you get a requirement, immediately don't open your Eclipse IDE and start the coding. Don't do that. It is a bad practice. Whenever you get a new requirement, immediately we should not start the coding. Immediately we should not start the coding. What will happen if you start the coding immediately without having the clarity on the requirement? After 1 or 2 days, you will stuck because you don't know the complete picture. You don't know the complete roadmap of the requirement. So doing the coding immediately is a bad practice, right? So first, whatever the requirement is given to you, you need to understand the requirement in 360 degrees angle. You need to analyze the requirements. Okay. And you need to set up meetings, set up meeting with a functional team, set up meeting with the functional team to get clarity on the requirement, to get clarity on requirements. Whatever the requirements they will give you, you may not understand that requirement. Maybe there will be some deviation between your understanding and client understanding. So you need to cover that gap. For that, you need to talk to functional team. Sir, can we directly talk to the client? As a developer, you will not get the chance to talk to the developers. I mean, as a developer, you will not get the chance to talk to the client directly for the requirements clarifications. So I'm in the industry. I worked for several projects. For any doubt on the requirements, developers will not talk to the clients directly. You will not get that contact. You will not get that contact. Whenever I'm taking the interview in my company, I will ask the people, if you don't understand the requirement, then what you will do? Then people will tell, I will set up a meeting with the client to get the clarity on the requirement. That means he is a fake person. If anybody saying that I will interact with the client for the requirement clarity, that means he is from Amirpet. He's a fake guy. Developers will not talk to the clients directly for the requirements clarifications. Client side, one team will be available. That team is called as functional team. Functional team will interact with the client to get the requirements. Functional team will give the requirements to the development team. If you have any questions on the requirement, you need to talk with the functional team. Directly, you cannot talk to the clients. Do you think that clients will be waiting for your calls daily? Clients will be busy with their business growth. Why clients will talk to developers directly? Why clients will talk to developers directly? Clients will have lot of things. Their schedule will be very busy. They are businessmen. They will not talk to you directly. They will set up meetings with the functional teams to give the requirements. Functional team will give the requirements to the development team. When the developer team is having some doubts on the requirement, they should talk to functional team. But most of the people who are coming to the interviews in my company, I am the interview panel member. I am one of the panel member in my company. So every week we are conducting interviews for full stack developers. I will ask one question. You started the development, you got some doubt on the requirement, then what you will do? People will say, I will talk to client. How? Through email, through phone, through chat. That's invalid answer. Why client will give his mobile number to you? No, right? So you need to talk to functional team. You understand? Understanding the requirements analysis, set up meeting with the functional team to get clarity on the requirements. These are your roles. First, to start the development, you need to do all these activities. Once you have completed this part, backend development is your duty. That is API development, backend development, backend development, nothing but APIs development. Nowadays, backend we are developing as APIs, REST APIs we are going to build. So as a full stack developer, you need to get the clarity on the requirements. You need to understand the requirements. If you have any doubts, you need to talk to your functional team to get the clarity on the requirements. And you need to do database design also. Database design. What are the tables we need to do? What are the tables we need? What are the tables we need for our project? Tables creation, primary keys, right? Foreign keys, indexes. You need to do the database design also. You need to do the database design also. No, but I mean, sir, do we have a separate team for our database? No. Tables, whatever the tables are required for your screen development, they will give you some screens to develop. They will give you some stories to develop. For your story, what are the tables required? What are the columns required in the table? How many primary keys? How many foreign keys? Relationships? Everything you need to take care as a full stack developer. You need to do the database design. Once it is done, then once the database is finalized, once the tables are ready, then you are going to do your backend development. APIs you are going to develop for your project. APIs development, nothing but REST APIs. For a given requirements, we are going to develop REST APIs. Once this backend development and testing is completed, backend development plus testing. Whatever the API you develop, you need to test it. Whatever the API you develop, testing is also your responsibility. Sir, if I am doing the testing, then what testing team will do? Then what testing team will do? The testing that you are going to do is called unit testing. The testers will do integration testing. You are responsible to perform unit testing. That is called individual components of your application. Whatever you develop, those components you have to test. That is called unit testing. So backend development and unit testing is also your responsibility. Sir, how we are going to perform that unit testing? By using JUnit. Sneha, functional team, nothing but the team which will gather requirements from the client. I will explain about functional team. So as I mentioned in the course, I'm going to tell interviews by IT industry details, right? Types of companies, types of teams, types of jobs, types of teams. So when I come to this first part, I will explain what type of teams will be available. There you will understand what is functional team. Still, I have not started this part. So once I start this part, you will get the clarity on all this information. Okay, good. Now, here backend development APIs you need to develop. REST APIs you are going to develop. Once your API development is completed, you need to do the unit testing for the APIs. How we are going to do the unit testing? We are going to do the testing by using JUnit framework. Once this unit testing is completed, then we are responsible to do front-end development. Front-end development, nothing but user interfaces. User interface you need to develop. HTML pages with Angular framework or React.js libraries, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript. By using front-end tech stack, we are going to develop user interface of our application. Once user interface development is completed, integrating backend and front-end. Backend you developed as one project, front end you are developing as one project. Then you need to take care of integration, front end plus back end. So you developed back end as one project, you developed front end as one project, then you need to integrate them. Front end back end should be integrated by using HTTP calls. HTTP client module we are going to use in the Angular to integrate the front end part and back end part. Back end we will have several REST APIs. Front end one UI application will be available. UI application should be integrated with backend REST APIs. So that integration is also your responsibility as a full stack developer. Okay, guys, once that integration is completed, again we need to test it. Integration testing. So when you tested backend, it is working fine. When you test the front end, it is working fine. After integration, working or not. So is there any issue once you have done the integration between the front end and back end? That integration also you have to perform integration testing, you need to do. Integration testing you need to do as a developer. Are you clear with this? Understanding the requirements analysis, set up meeting with functional team to get clarity on the requirements, database design you have to do. That means identifying the schemas, tables, columns, relationships, indexes, and all. Then once the database design is finalized, then you need to go for backend development. You need to create the REST APIs to execute the business logic of your application in the backend. Once backend development got completed, you are going to do unit testing of that backend by using JUnit. Then once your backend development is ready, once backend code is tested, then you will start your front-end development. That is nothing but a user interface. By using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, Angular, or React, you will use to develop front-end part of your application. Once front-end development is completed, then you are going to do integration between the front-end and the back-end. Once integration is completed, you may get some issues. Maybe your backend API not giving the response correctly, which is expecting by the front end, or whatever the data which is giving by the front end is not sufficient to execute the logic in the back end. There can be some deviations, right? So we need to understand those deviations. We need to understand those problems, and we need to fix those problems as a developer. So integration issues may come. We need to take care of those integrations very carefully. Once integration is completed, we need to test it again. Is that integration working properly or not? Is the project functionality is working as expected or not? That is also our responsibility as a developer. Okay, guys. Once these all things are done, then you need to take care of code integration. Code integration in repository server. Multiple developers will be working in one project. Your team members are doing some coding, you are doing some coding. All the developers code should be integrated at one place. For that, we are going to use code repository servers, source code repository servers, GitHub, Bitbucket. These tools we are going to use to integrate our source code. You should be very careful when we are doing code integration. Because of your code integration, other developers code should not be affected. You need to be very careful, because in your team maybe 7 developers or 8 developers available. So other developers code should not be disturbed. When you commit your code to Git repository, code integration you should know. So for that, I'm going to teach you GitHub, Bitbucket tools. These tools people are using in the company to store the source code of the project. Your team member will store the code in the GitHub. You will also store the code in the GitHub. When you store the code in the GitHub, other developers code should not be affected. When other developers are storing the code in the GitHub, your code should not be affected. So that code integration should be very clear and should be very careful when you are doing that. Code integration in the repository servers, you are responsible for that. Okay, code reviews. Whatever the code you do, you should follow coding standards. You should follow some coding standards. Code review you need to perform. Code review you need to perform. So how you will perform the code review? To perform the code review, we are going to use one software called SonarQube. There will be one software called SonarQube, which is used to perform the code review. How to perform the code review of our Java project using SonarQube, I will explain. So code review you need to perform. Okay, once it is completed, then you need to take care of deployments. You should be able to deploy the application to the environments. So dev environment will be available, QA environment will be available. As a developer, you should know how to deploy the applications also. Currently in the market, people are using automated deployments, CI/CD. Jenkins software we are going to use to deploy our applications. People are using Jenkins software to automate build and deployment process. I'm going to explain the Jenkins to understand how to deploy our projects. Application deployments also you are going to learn by using Jenkins. Whatever the code you do, That code you are going to test, you are going to review that code, you are going to integrate your code in the repository server. After that integration completed, you need to deploy that code also into an environment for testing purpose. For that, you need to perform the deployments. Deployments we are going to do by using Jenkins. Right. Application deployments also you need to know. And the next one, application support. Once our application got deployed to the production, if public users are accessing our application, there is a chance of getting some issues in our project. Some bugs may occur when the people are accessing our application. So when there is a issue in the code, then you are responsible to fix that bug. That is called application support. We can say application maintenance. We can say that application support or application maintenance. So if some functionality is breaking in the production, then you are responsible to maintain that. You are responsible to fix that issue. That is called as application support or application maintenance. So these are roles and responsibilities of full stack developers in the company. This is what companies will expect from you to give the job. This is what companies are expecting from the people to give the job. So can you guys read this? What are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developers? Is it clear? Is it clear? Understanding the requirements, requirements analysis, set up meeting with functional team to get clarity on the requirements, database design, backend development, REST APIs development, unit testing we are going to do by using JUnit, unit testing with the code coverage, unit testing with the code coverage, JUnit plus Mockito, JUnit plus Mockito plus Jacoco. That means whatever the code you write, your code should be unit tested. How many lines of code you have written, how many lines of code you have tested, everything will be identified. Everything will be identified. Right. Unit testing with Mockito. Unit testing with mocking plus code coverage also you are going to perform. Code coverage. Code coverage is also your responsibility. Code coverage means it will measure how many lines of code you have written and how many lines of code you have tested. Each and every line of code should be tested. The industry standard 80% of code coverage required. 80% coverage is minimum in the industry. That means if you write 100 lines of code, minimum 80 lines of code should be tested in the unit testing. For unit testing, we are going to use JUnit with mocking. So you are here, I mentioned in the syllabus, I'm going to explain JUnit, Mockito and Jacoco. See, you understand why I'm covering these many tools? Maven we are going to use as a build tool. GitHub we are going to use as a repository tool. Jira we are using as a project management tool, bug reporting tool. SonarQube we are using for code review. Jenkins we are using for deployment. Nexus to maintain the libraries. JMeter performance testing tool. Postman API testing. Swagger documentation. Docker for containers. Kubernetes for orchestration. JUnit for unit testing. Mockito for isolated unit testing, Jacoco for code coverage, Logback, Logstash, Putty WinSCP for log monitoring, Apache Kafka for streaming platform, Redis Cache for distributed cache implementation. So there is a reason why I'm covering all these tools. In the real time, these tools will be used. In our daily life, we are going to work with these tools, guys. That is the reason I'm covering 20 plus real-time tools as part of this course. Got it? Application support maintenance. And here one more role will be there for you, logs monitoring. When the application is executing, there is a chance of getting some issues. Whenever issue occurs in our application, we need to monitor logs of the application, logs monitoring. Some people will use ELK stack, Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana, Filebeats, and some people will use Splunk software to monitor the logs. So when there is an issue in the application, we need to understand that root cause of the issue by monitoring logs of the application. For logs monitoring, from project to project, tools will be different. In some projects, people will use a Splunk. In some projects, people will use ELK. I will tell you how to monitor the logs also. I'm going to cover log monitoring as well. As a developer, you need to do the logs monitoring to understand the issues in the project and you need to fix that issue. Application support. Once you monitor the logs of your application, then you will understand what problem is there in the project, in which class, in which method, in which line number error is coming. For example, there is a arithmetic exception or there is a null pointer exception, there is a SQL exception, in which method that exception is coming, in which line number the code is throwing the which line of code is throwing that exception. You need to understand that by checking the logs of your application. How to check the logs of our application? Some people will use putty, some people will use WinSCP, some people will use ELK stack, some people will use a Splunk. There are different tools are available in the market to monitor logs of the application. Log monitoring is also very important. For example, when your project is in the production, if there is a issue, your manager called you, hey Raju, we are getting a issue in the production, please check the logs of our application and tell me what is that issue. If you don't know log monitoring, then you are gone. Manager called you and he told you to check the log of the application because there is some issue in the production. So if you want to fix that issue, first you need to understand where is the issue. If you want to understand where is the issue, you need to check the log file. How to check the log file? By using some tools. Splunk is one of the commercial software to do the log monitoring. ELK, Elasticsearch, Kibana, open source tools are available. Putty, WinSCP, open source tools are available to monitor logs of our application. Log monitoring is also very important for you as a developer. This is what real time. If you can do all these things, then you are called as real time developer. If you face all these problems, if you know how to deal with all the problems in the project, if you know how to work with all these things, then you will be called as a full stack developer. If you just to do the Java coding, public class, class name, public static void main, you are not up to the market standards. Sir, I know collections, array list, AL is equal to new array list. Everybody will know that. Everybody will know that. Everybody can write the Java program. Even in ICSE syllabus, 10th class people are writing the Java programs. Then what is the difference between those people who are doing their 10th class and you have done your graduation? What is the difference? Coding, only coding is not sufficient. You need to manage application end to end, from requirements to till deployment. That is what companies are expecting. So once we complete this JRTP, you will be able to do all these things. I will cover all these concepts in our course. I will make you 3 to 4 years experienced full stack developer. Once this course is completed, you are equal to 3 to 4 years experienced full stack developer in the IT. You can check your skill set with anybody who is working in the company with 3 to 4 years, genuine experience also, no issue, no problem. 3 to 4 years people will not know these many things because I learnt all these things by spending 9 years in the companies. 4 different companies I worked on. I spent 9 years of time to get to know all these things. So do you think that 3 years genuine, suppose for example, your friend got selected in the campus interview, he completed 3 years. Do you think that he will work with all these things in the company for 3 years experience? No. No. This is subject, this is skill set, 6-7 years people will have. This much skill set, these many tools, 6 to 7 years experienced people will come to know, will get the chance to work with all these things, all these tools especially. Now you understand why Ashok IT is the brand for Java real-time project, because of this content only. Most of you came to this institute with your friends or colleagues or your relatives references. The reason, they have lent all these things in our JRTP and they got selected in the companies with very good packages. So we are teaching the content with real-time standards, with real-time scenarios, complete real-time training. What we are going to do in the company, what I am doing in my company, what I am doing in my current project, everything I am discussing. Now you know why people are not having the confidence after completing the Spring Boot microservices also, after completing complete Java full stack development training in other institutes, why they are not having the confidence? Because they don't know how to analyze the requirements. They don't know how to do the database design. They don't know what is unit testing. They don't know what is front-end development. They don't know what is code review. They don't know what is deployment. They don't know how to monitor the logs. Because in the regular Java full stack development, these things will not be covered. They will just complete their syllabus. That's it. With that syllabus, it is difficult to get the job because companies are expecting more. Companies are expecting more. What companies are expecting from the people? Companies are expecting these things from the people. So tomorrow when you attend the interview, they will ask you, could you please tell me how you will fix your production issue? They will tell one scenario. So our project is running in the production. We got a production issue. How you will fix it? How you will fix the production issue? Lot of analysis is required on the log file. How you will monitor the log file? Which tool you will use to monitor the log file? You don't know. You are gone. With one question, they can decide whether you are a genuine experience or fake experience. One question is sufficient to decide. The person who is attending the interview, I can decide with one question. Just with one question, I can decide that person is having a genuine experience or fake experience. Companies knows that people are coming with fake experience, but why companies are giving the jobs? They need the people. They need manpower. That is the reason. Even companies are knowing that you are having a fake experience, they are recruiting the people, they are taking the people to do the projects because that is the demand for the technical laborers, skilled laborers. We all are belongs to skilled laborers. We know the skill, we have the skill to do the work. We are called as skilled laborers. Companies needs that skilled labor to do the work for that company. Even if you have a fake experience, do you think that people will not identify that your experience is genuine or fake? Within one or two questions, they can judge. Very simple. But still, why they are selecting? They need people. They have requirement. Technically, if you are strong, then they will select you. Your experience, your documents, your education, your percentages, just to throw in dustbin. Nobody will care about it. Nobody will care about it. Companies needs the people who are having skill, who are strong in technology, who are having latest technologies in their hand. Yesterday somebody asked me, sir, I don't have a 60%, am I eligible? Who will care about your percentage, man? Why this percentage important? 4 years back, 5 years back, how much percentage you got? What I will do with that percentage today? It's not required. No company will bother about your percentages. For freshers, they will check the percentages. For experienced people, nobody will check the percentages. Maybe one or two companies will ask throughout 60%, like TCS, Infosys companies. Just remove those two companies from your list. There are thousands of companies are available apart from the TCS and Infosys. Do you really need to care about them who are asking your 60% in academics? Not required. So you want to get a job, you have some dream companies, remove TCS, Infosys from your list. So many other companies are available to attend the interview who will give you good packages than these companies also. So don't worry about your backlogs, don't worry about your percentages. Still you can get the job. If you have below 60 also, no problem. Got it? So you need to learn all these things. You should have this skill set. Then you can get the job easily. I am responsible to make you as a full stack developer. I am responsible for that. I am accountable for that. If you join with me for this Java real-time project training, I will take that responsibility. Conditions apply. Your commitment should be there. You are also accountable. You should be responsible. You should not miss the classes. You should not miss the practice. You should not miss the assignment submission. Then we can do the magic in 4 months. If you just listen to the class, if you don't practice, there is no use. I'm not a magician to do that magic. I will keep my 100% efforts. I will keep my 100% efforts. At the same time, you should also keep your 100% effort. Then only result will come. I will have that commitment. I will take that responsibility. I will give my 100% and I'm expecting your 100% contribution. Then only we can become success. You can check with your friends how my classes will be, how much responsibility I'm going to take, how much commitment I will have to deliver this JRTP. You can inquire with your friends and you can talk to your friends. What Ashok will do if we don't submit the assignment, they will tell you. What punishment I will give for the students if they don't do the assignment, you can check with your friends who referred you for Ashok IT Institute for Java real-time project. They will tell you what I will do. I will not allow the people for the class. I will not allow the people for the class if they don't do assignment on time, if they don't submit the assignment on time. I am very serious about assignments. If you agree for my conditions, then only do the enrollment. Otherwise, don't do the enrollment because you will face problems if you don't follow the rules and regulations. Don't join course for time pass. I don't need it. Okay. We are not looking for quantity. I'm looking for quality. Even if 20 people join for this course, I'm happy if they have commitment. If 20 people join for this course also, I'm happy if they have the commitment. That's it. I'm not looking for count. I'm looking for quality. Remember that. Okay, guys. Good. So I hope you got the clarity on what is full stack development. So what is front end development and what is back end development? What technologies we are going to use for the front end development? What technologies we will use for back end development? And how we are going to develop the projects? What is the tech stack of our JRTP? And what are the roles and responsibilities of the full stack developers? And what companies are expecting from the full stack developers? What would be our daily activities as a full stack developer? I hope you got the clarity on these concepts. Could you please read out? What are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developer? Could you please read out what are the roles and responsibilities of the full stack developers? Understanding the given requirements. Clients are going to give you the requirement. You need to understand the requirements. Whenever you try to understand the requirement, you may get some doubts. You may get some confusion. Then what you need to do? Are you going to talk to the clients directly to get the clarifications on the requirements? Are you going to talk to the clients directly to get the clarifications on the requirements? No. Will you have a client contact directly? No. There will be a functional team between you and client. So client will give the requirements to functional team. Functional team will give the requirements to you. So if you have any questions, if you have any doubts on the requirement, you need to talk to functional team. So there is a concept called onshore team and offshore team. So here I'm going to explain about what is onshore, what is offshore, what is functional team, what is a bridge call, what is a JAD meeting, what is minutes of meeting, everything I will explain, right? So understanding the requirements analysis, set up meeting with functional team to get clarity on the requirements, database design. So if you want to do the development, first database should be ready. Tables, which tables we need to interact, with which tables we need to interact, what columns, what data we need to store, what data we need to retrieve, relationships, all these things you need to understand. So for that, database design also you have to do. Once this part is done, then you can start your backend development. REST APIs you are going to create. Then you will do unit testing with mocking. Whatever the code you develop, is that code working as expected or not? You have to test it. So developer means not just coding plus testing also you have to do. Unit testing, how many lines of code you have tested in the unit testing will be identified as part of code coverage. Industry standard 80% coverage. That means if you write 100 lines of code, 80 lines should be tested. Then once this backend development, backend testing, code coverage is done, then backend is ready. Then you need to do the front end part. User interface you have to develop by using UI technologies, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, Angular, right? Some companies projects will be developed based on React, UI will be developed based on React or based on Angular, but not both. Here we are going to learn Angular. Once your backend front end is done, then integration you need to take care. So once you integrate your front end and backend, they should work perfectly, right? So once your integration is done, again you need to do the testing of that project. Once the front end backend is integrated, everything working perfectly or not, you have to validate, you have to test it. Once your testing is everything is done, code integration is required. So all the developers code will be integrated in one repository server like a GitHub. So code integration, how to work with GitHub, how to push the code, how to pull the code without disturbing the existing code in the project. You need to take care of those Git operations. Then code review is required. Whatever the code you do, your code should follow some standards. Coding standards we have to follow. Those coding standards you can follow. So if you don't follow the coding standards, SonarQube will identify what are the mistakes you have done in the code. Code review is important. Once everything is done, you should be able to do the deployment of your project into cloud platform, AWS cloud. Your infrastructure will be there on the AWS or Azure or GCP. Nowadays, companies are not preferring on-premise infrastructure. Companies are going for cloud infrastructure. I will tell you what is cloud computing, how to work with AWS, how to create infrastructure on the AWS cloud, how to deploy the project into AWS cloud by using CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. We are going to achieve this CI/CD by using Jenkins. Then once your application is deployed to the server, if any issue, you need to check the logs of your application. You need to troubleshoot that issue. You need to fix that issue. You should know the logs monitoring also, right? Then application support. If any issue occurred in the project, then you should be able to fix that issue. You should understand the issue. You should fix that issue also. That is application support. These all are the roles and responsibilities of full stack developer. As part of this JRTP training, you will get to know how to work with all these things. From first point to till last point, everything will be explained here. Everything will be explained here. I will make you as a full stack developer. Okay, guys. So people are asking, what about Scratch development project? What about maintenance project? Everything, sir. So I'm going to start the part one. There I will explain types of jobs, types of teams, types of projects, types of companies, interviews, projects types, right? Everything I will explain in the part one. Don't worry. Okay, good. So I hope you got the clarity on today's session. So today I'm not able to explain these two. I will take them in the next session, guys. I'm able to cover what is full stack development, why it is important, and what full stack developer will do in the company. Full stack development is hot cake in the market. Companies are giving high packages for full stack developers. Companies are giving high packages for full stack developers. So can we see the job trends in the market for full stack developers? How much packages, how many companies are looking for full stack developers? Can we check that in the job portal? Can we check that in the job portal? I'm just opening Naukri website. Enter your skills, full stack development. Full stack development. How many jobs are there for full stack developers? Can you see? Just I'm searching with full stack development. How many jobs are there for full stack development? See the count. These many companies are looking for full stack developer. Java full stack developer, Tech Mahindra. .NET full stack developer, application developer, cloud full stack, .NET full stack developer, Java full stack developer, Java application developer, Java full stack developer, Java and Angular combination, or choose a company looking for Java and Angular combination, full stack developer, team lead, full stack developer, full stack developer, full stack .NET developer, full stack Java developer. That much demand is there for full stack developers in the company. You got my point. You just type that. You just search it. Java full stack. Java full stack. Modify your search. See how many jobs are available for Java full stack developer, Java full stack developer immediate joiner, Java developer, Java full stack developer, Java full stack developer cognizant, 2 to 6 years experience they are looking, Java full stack developer TCS, Mindtree immediate joining for Java full stack developer, Collabora Java full stack developer, cognizant, Jorient, Value Labs, Concentrix, TCS, Oracle, Oracle Financial, TCS, Value Labs, Accenture, CGI, Cognizant. Oh my God. See how many jobs are there for Java full stack developers. They are looking for 1 year experience also. Java developers with just 1 year experience, with 2 years experience, with 3 years experience, with 8 years experience. There is a huge demand for full stack developers in the market. So you have to take that advantage. You need to take that advantage. Clear? Lot of demand is there. Lot of demand is there. You have to get that benefit. So as I told you, you are going to become a full stack developer with this course. You are going to spend 4 months to complete this full stack development training. This course is a Java real-time project full stack development 21 JRTP. Okay, fine guys, good. Thank you. You can join the class tomorrow at the same time. The people who are watching from YouTube, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, click on bell icon. If you have any doubts, you can interact with me by connecting with me in the Zoom session. So this is the Zoom link for our session. So go to Ashok IT website, go to training schedules. You can see online training. There you can find out Java real-time project. If you click on this button, you will be able to join in the Zoom class. You can talk to me if you have any questions. Now it's time for doubts clarifications. So people who are having the doubts, please raise your hand in the Zoom. People who are watching from YouTube, you can join in the Zoom to ask your questions. I'm stopping the live stream. Thank you guys. Bye bye. I will see you tomorrow at the same time, 8:30 p.m. with same Zoom link. So you can get this video in the Telegram. Thank you.